It's your boy Bunny 3000 from the Gaming Precision crew, and this is my review of Bladestorm Nightmare. Koei Tecmo is back at it once again with yet another historical battle simulation. This time, it's not Dynasty Warriors, it is Bladestorm Nightmare. Bladestorm Nightmare is basically an expansion to the old 2007 game that Koei came out with called Bladestorm 100 Year War. You take the role of a leader of a band of mercenaries in a very, very long war. In this version of Bladestorm, however, they have the Nightmare expansion, which is basically a new campaign where the 100-year war between the English and the French was disturbed by ghosts, ghouls, goblins, and all kinds of monsters. Attack at will indeed. This moment is probably the one that will make or break the experience for most players that even attempt to try to play this game. Action is played out in sequences as you see here. You press Y, X, or B for special attacks, or you just hold down the right bumper button so that you can have all of your troops attack. Now, if they're ranged as you see them here, they'll lob arrows and you'll see the damage take place. Now, if they're melee, as you see some of the guys going in there, they will actually rush in and take on their foes in hand-to-hand combat. But the way that they take on that hand-to-hand combat, there isn't a whole lot of control. You basically group them as much as you can, and then you just pray for the best. Watch the combo numbers go all over the place. Watch the damage go all over the place and have yourself wonder, what am I actually doing? I'm really just holding the right bumper button. And once you release that bumper button, all of your troops go right back into formation and you start all over again. Now look, I'm a Koei Tecmo fan myself, but even this game took a while for me to get used to. The graphics are really outdated. Look at it. It looks like something that's from the early days of PS3 and the Xbox 360. But once you give it some time and get used to the combat and the way that it plays out, this game is extraordinarily deep. You'll find that it has some common traits with an excellent game that I used to play back in the day called Kingdoms Under Fire: The Crusaders. Now, the only real difference is it doesn't really have the same gameplay when it comes to the general. You don't really take control of the general at all, and you don't end up with those grand, spectacular attacks between your general and your enemy's general. That just does not happen in this game. Now, what does happen in this game is you will find moments of absolute bliss once you get the hang of all the action, or I guess you could say chaos, that happens on the screen at one time. The game doesn't really have a great battle camera, but once you get those awesome moments of your cavalry just running straight through a group of enemies in just the perfect way, just watching all those damage numbers pop up on the screen at one time can be very exhilarating. It's a lot of fun, but that's just coming from someone who loves strategy games. And this little bit of action thrown in on top of it where you get to control them at real time, for me, makes it the way that all strategy games should be played on consoles rather than the traditional way that is typically done on computers. The control scheme is actually really good for consoles. It really does show off the way that you can control multiple units quickly, and you can actually use a lot of their different tactics, a lot of their different special attacks in a pretty interesting way. But there's got to be a better way of doing it. Graphically, as I've said before, this game does not do it for me. I'm pretty certain it's not going to do it for a lot of people. But get over that, and you will find that there's a lot of depth under the surface. Pull off these awesome Bladestorm attacks as you see here on your base commander, or actually, you don't really quite see it. You think it's kind of there. You see a bunch of something going on, a bunch of numbers flying all over the screen, and guess what happens? Your base commander dies. Or there does, anyway. But Where the depth really does come in is where you upgrade all of your troops, outfit them with all kinds of swords, bows, weapons, horses, even monsters you can ride on top of. This game does have just as much depth, if not more, than Kingdom Under Fire, the Crusaders, had back in the day also. You can do it all. You can even create your own general. And of course, that general will be the one who leads your mighty forces against all the other monsters and all the other foes. Lovely, lovely numbers and combos popping up all over the screen at all times. But guess what? These matches can run up to 2 hours. Yeah, you're able to save them in the middle of each one of the matches, which is a beautiful thing. But it's really, really hard for a lot of people to sit down and actually cruise through an entire battle that takes about 2 hours to get through. That's pretty hard to do. I mean, just from an interest standpoint, because most of the time, all you're doing is going from base commander to base commander and taking them out. Because once you take out the base commander, most of the other resources and troops that are all running around outside, they disappear instantly. And the fog of war, which can be pretty thick at times, it just ends up being there a little bit too much. It's odd, but that's Koei Tecmo for you. Now look, I thoroughly enjoyed this game, but even I have a hard time recommending it to people. I'd probably have to say only Koi Warriors, and then on top of that, only the ones that love Romance of the Three Kingdoms, or I'd say Kingdom Under Fire, the Crusaders, should even take a chance on this title. It just doesn't look good. The camera is not very good at all, and the action is, what can I say, a bit too passive for some people. Now, strategy sim people, they may enjoy this to some degree because there is a lot of depth and a lot of RPG elements that come into how you play this game. And the difficulty does go up quite a bit after a while. So there is enjoyment to be had in this game, but it takes a special kind of someone to enjoy it. In the end, I'd have to give Bladestorm Nightmare a 3 out of 5. There's those hunger pains of Kingdom Under Fire and Romance of the Three Kingdoms that probably give it a little bit more than it should in the score, but that's just me. So, this is your boy Bunny 3000 for Gaming Precision, signing off.